Content warning. The following show contains discussions of fictitious violence, tobacco smoking, some opinions that might make a few people a little antsy, but understand you're not being attacked, you're simply being seen. But that being said, viewer discretion is advised. I can't believe you didn't give me any sass on that one. No, well, we're a little excited to get to today's show. So let me just start the music. Yeah, you should totally just start the music. Alright, okay, what is going on, everybody? What is up? What is up? How y'all doing out there? How's it going? How you feeling? What's the word? What do you do? What do you know? I am Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, and I am coming at you from the Wizard's Tower, and welcome to the Dark Side of the Room. Now, this is the show where we talk about game stuff and all of that jazz. What's going on? No one, nobody. How you doing? How you feeling out there? And now I finally get it. I didn't realize that was you waving hands at me last time. I thought I was hacked or something like that. So major apologies and all that stuff. But welcome to the Dark Side of the Room. And this is the show where we talk about lots and lots of stuff. We talk about games. We talk about theories and things. We even talk about life, because sometimes a good amount of the things in life are nothing but a game, like seriously speaking. So I put out a bunch of hashtags on this one because today we are going to talk about some really, really cool stuff, okay? And Jan Arlecchino hit in with the first comment today saying today's episode is improbable. I totally get that. And on a lot of levels, I agree. But you know what? Broken clocks and all that jazz. So, as I said, I am Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer. And if you guys have any questions or comments about what we're talking about, how you can look into things, and all of that jazz, it's really simple. All you got to do is look at the keyboard that you might be close to, or, pull up your little email thing on your phone or on your laptop and type in Back in the Deck at gmail.com. It's BACKINTHEDECK at gmail.com. You can also look up Back in the Deck on Instagram or Twitter. Again, BACKINTHEDECK, and you can reach out to us there. Now, if you're on TikTok, you won't find us under Back in the Deck. Oh, nope. You won't. You will find us at BidPy. That's BIDPY. And if you are on that wretched hive of scum and villainy known as Facebook, because you're like me and you're over 40, and you say, man, there's just too many social media things, I'm gonna just stick to the ones I've had for the past 10, 11, 12 years. That's perfectly fine. Just head on over, look up Deckers on the Book. Hey, look at that. And join the group. It is a public group that I practice very hard putting down the banhammer to people that love expressing themselves by making sure that no one else is welcome. I ain't like that. We ain't like that here. We are gatekeepers, but we only keep the gate to people that don't want anyone else in specifically not wanting people in based on their race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disabilities, neurodivergencies, or their budgets. We are the ones that look at them and say, put that card back in the deck and get out of our chat room. That is what we do. And of course, we got Neon Arlecchino that is on it, dropping the invitation to our Discord where we do that whole thing. I want to give a major shout out, by the way, to Good Girl Sage. I checked out your Twitter, or not your Twitter, I checked out your Twitch channel, and it is very cool. You were fun, so I'm dropping you a follow, and I'm telling everybody else down here to do just that. Now that we got all that stuff going, I want to say what's up to my normal viewers and all that stuff, like Xanathades, Neon Arlecchino, Silva King Super, the king of living room furniture, all that stuff. So, with all of those things, let's get into some stuff today, all right? So, as you guys know, all right, I do a lot of mini wargaming, and I mean a lot of mini wargaming. At least in theory, I do a lot of mini wargaming. And what do I mean by that? Well, when it comes down to mini wargaming, I love the idea. I love the concept. I love building lists. I'm even coming to like making models. That's really new for me as well, because real talk, I have not been used to that. That has been something that I've never, how can I put it? I always thought about the stuff that comes along with mini wargaming as more of a chore, you know, because I didn't grow up in those circles, all right? Where I grew up, you go down to the swap meet, the Korean lady looks at you and accuses you of stealing, and then you buy a toy. They look at you odd. They say you don't have enough money. You say this is how much it costs. You know, that's what the tag says. And they go, no, just taxes. And then, you know, you end up paying the money or leaving the store crying. You go home and you play with your toy. All right. So the idea of buying a bunch of toys and having to put them together and paint them myself just always went over my head. And it felt like a chore, because to play with my toy, I had to finish building it. And the toys that I have to put together are like 10 times more expensive than the ones I'm used to. Yeah. When you put it like that, it sounds like a hard pass. But, you know, then time passed, I hit adulthood, all that other stuff. And I really got into mini wargaming because when Mage Knight first came out, and they had their pre-painted miniatures. We're talking Mage Knight from WizKids all the way back in like 2002, all right? This was before HeroClix, y'all. I'm like, oh, wow, they look like toys, but they come with rules for playing. Okay, all right, I can get onto this. And from there, boom, I was on the way. Like, I didn't even realize, hey, what's going on, Nicholas Hurst from Durban? We are international gamers. Oh, yeah, that is what we are doing. So I got into BattleTech, but that felt more like a board game, and I didn't know what I was doing. There was just a dude that was telling me what I had to roll while he was being nice to the girl in the party, because he was trying to get into some sort of poly relationship with her and her boyfriend. It was a long thing. So after all that was said and done, I got into a game called War Machine from Privateer Press, and this was back in the aughts, baby. Like, this was pre-2010, shortly after 9/11. And I was working at a game store, which means I got a 30% discount on everything I bought. And a friend of mine showed me the game. I call him my game dealer, okay, because he's not my mentor. He's not my mentor. He just comes up going, hey, bro, so I got this new game. Check it out. Let's play a couple of rounds. And then I get hooked going, oh man, I need to play some more of that game. Can we play some more of that game? I gotta go get that game and all that stuff. And then he's like, oh, I've moved on to something else. And I'm like, you know, I'm like a foot taller than you. I should step on you, but then you won't show me any other new games. I have a problem, guys. I have a really big problem. So, but when I got into Privateer Press's War Machine, it was a new game, and I was in on the ground floor, And what did that mean? Well, that means that way back in the day, all right, I could buy the book for like 20 bucks, okay? And they had starter kits. Now, the starter kits that came out were pretty awesome, okay? Now, these were way back in the old days when there were metal miniatures everywhere. We didn't do the hard plastic. We did these metal things. And they felt like heavy toys, and I really, really dug them. Okay, I really did. And so essentially what they did, I'm pulling up a picture right now of of the Kadorian starter kit. All right, because they had four factions, they all had a starter kit, and this was pretty much everything you needed to play. Kind of that was it. And this thing was 50 bucks. That's it. All right. 50 bucks, you got your model. Not all of them came with so few minis. It all depended on what team you were going for. But back then they only had five factions, which was cool. And you could buy that, and it was like, look, steam-powered robots that can do professional wrestling moves on each other, like headbutts and headlocks and body slams. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm all in, right? But after a little while, after about 6 or 7 years, it fell into the problem that a lot of miniatures games have, which is since Warhammer 40K essentially runs the market, a lot of games do their best to either compete directly with it, or players try to turn themselves or try to turn whatever miniatures game they're playing into 40K. Now, at the time, I didn't know the difference between a full-fledged war game and a skirmish game. All right. So I got in with a skirmish game that people did everything within their power to turn into a war game. And after about 10 years, I got out the game. I'm like, this is not fun anymore. I want to use my big steam-powered robots. I like a lot of infantry. I specifically remember using Zealots, Deliverers, and Knights Exemplar because those were my favorite infantry. But then the app came out and everything went toward tournament play. And in tournament play, I've talked about this a lot. When you play competitively, you're going to end up playing a game of mathematics and probability. That's just what happens, okay? Because the only way to win at tournaments is to have the edge against the other players. And the majority of those players, the hegemony, is going to be playing within math. And, it's going to be a lot of math, a lot of mind games, okay? Like a lot of really rude behavior and insulting behavior so that you can't focus on your gameplay. And a lot of people are like, no, that's not the way it goes. And in the same breath, they'll talk about, yeah, we finally got that going. And I heard like new players talking crap to the other players. The talking crap is part of the mind game, guys. I'm sorry. And I tried getting into Warhammer 40K, but in my neck of the woods, let's just say, for some reason, I have no idea what it is, but I don't feel welcomed at most of the Games Workshop stores in Southern California. I don't know why. But I couldn't do that. And I didn't have a whole lot of people to play Warhammer 40K with because most of my friends were into War Machine, except for my game dealer. Well, he's going, oh yeah, I got this other game. It's called Malifaux. You like cards? You like cards and you like cards? You like minis? You want to play cards with your minis? Come on, man. Come on. These guys are magicians. Yeah, buy into that. And I'm like, no, back thee, Satan, back. I rebuke you. I rebuke you and all your new things getting me addicted to another form of plastic crack. Okay. But then I built the 3D printer farm. So I was able to get into a lot of other games. That with the help of One Page Rules and their Patreon. Now I have loads of models, and I've learned how to search for models on for free online, which I won't be showing you guys because Games Workshop watches stuff like this and they go, "Oh, that looks a lot like one of our models that they could buy instead. Let's nuke that site and y'all need to come to us and pay our prices," which generally are too high most of the time. Especially for what you get. And see, I've talked a lot of crap on Games Workshop. Okay, I really have. Primarily, I talk crap on Games Workshop because I don't like corporate behavior. And this is what I mean. Games Workshop will tell you, you don't need a whole lot to play our game. All you need to do is buy this tiny, tiny bit and you can play our game. However, at all of their stores and most friendly local gaming stores, all the support goes to playing tournaments. So instead of spending, say, 100 or so, 100 to 150 on a boarding actions box or a start collecting box or whatever, you have to spend almost $1,000, and no, I am not exaggerating, in buying these things in order to find anybody else to play with, because no one likes playing those small games that are in the community. And when you try to build your own, is if you have one friend that you like playing games with and they have your budget, which is not a whole lot of money to start off with, you and them could play some games, but as soon as they go to the game store, you risk them getting sucked up into the competitive culture, and now they're outspending you, or they quit the game because nobody else wants to play at the fiscal or chronological level they're at. All right. So these are some of the things that Games Workshop has done over the past 30 something years that makes a lot of this stuff difficult. And then came last week. Oh, I was so mad. All right. So what they did, okay, what these guys did, this company, what they did was they released over the past year, 2 years, they've been releasing these things called Combat Patrol, Boarding Actions, or Start Collecting. Now, the Start Collecting boxes were decent, but they're like, yeah, you can play a Start Collecting box. But what they didn't do was give rules to the Start Collecting thing. So you could buy the Start Collecting box, but you don't really have a format to play under. And you can't go to a store and say, hey, anybody want to play a Start Collecting game? Because you still had to play on a 6-foot by 4-foot board. You still had to go by all of the rules that have been streamlined for tournament play. And it wasn't very beginner friendly in practice as much as it was touted to be beginner friendly. And let's not get me started on how much money you had to spend just to learn the rules. Now, I talk about this with a lot of Warhammer players, and they're like, well, you should just go to Wahapedia and get all that stuff. And you know what? I will tell you this. I come straight from the hood. We are known for backdooring rules, like the front door and the way that people normally do stuff tends to not be open to us. So we are big on finding ways around stuff, all right? But the amount of investigation, going on Wahapedia, going through the rules readings, and more to the point, going through the forums where everyone's opinion is presented as though it's absolute fact, has been a terrible thing. Terrible things for beginners, because what do you believe? You know, especially since if you go to one friendly local game store, they're going under Todd's opinion. At another one, they're going under Mike's opinion. At another one, they're going under Ron's opinion. Not to mention, a lot of people, and y'all may not know who you are, but I know who you are. Don't think that they play in the tournament player ethos because they don't listen to themselves when they speak. Okay, they really don't. They don't listen to themselves when they speak. When they start calculating probability, doing optimums weapons loadout, complaining about point cost per many and all of that stuff, that's all tournament play, in opposed to I put my stuff on the table and I want to play, right? And ooh, I want to hear about that, Xanathades. Um, had a really good talk with my they friend last night about yesterday's show and those backdoor structures. Thank you. Yeah, I want to hear a little bit about that. Um, so with all of that in there, what did they do? Because this today's title is really positive. Oh my God, they did something good. Because I don't want to say, oh my God, Games Workshop did something right. Now I'm going to preface this with their launch of 10th edition has been inspiring. Okay, it's been very inspiring. They're finally on the train to what modern gaming has actually turned into. So they give the opportunity to do a lot of try before you buy by releasing the index cards online for free, releasing the rulebook online for free. And this is what everybody else has been doing. I'm talking the company that does Bolt Action, Mantix Games, Core Bellas, TT Combat, of course, Grim One Page Rules. All these companies are releasing their rulebooks online with the check out our wares, have a free sample, and if you like it, come back and give us money. And guess what? That tactic has always worked in the market. Okay? Yeah, sure. There's going to be 4 or 5 people that are going to try it and never pay for it. But for every one of those people that don't, you're going to get 7 or 8 people that go, this is really cool. I want to support this company. And Games Workshop finally got that through their thick freaking skulls. All right. But one of the things that they did, and this is where I am shocked. Okay. I'm shocked. I'm just blown away with the fact that since they're doing this stuff and publishing it in PDF and keeping the PDFs updated on the Warhammer community page, tell you what, let's just head over there and y'all can see what I'm talking about. All right. Over here on the community page, they did this post, the Combat Patrol rules and everything that you need. Now let's go and find out what a combat patrol is, okay? A combat patrol is a $160 box of minis that they released, and they said you can just play with this. But what they never did was release any special rules, and before, this is a big thing with Games Workshop, they will sell you all the models all day. And then they make you come back and buy the rules. Not just to the game, but to the models that you bought. I'm like, what kind of company releases toys to be played with a specific game and do not include the instructions to play that game with those toys? Who does that? Well, Games Workshop did that. And I was real mad at them for a long time for doing that. All right. And if you guys have been playing 40K or Horus Heresy or Kill Team, or Age of Sigmar, okay, you guys have noticed that's the way. And if those are your first games, I got to let you guys know that is not the way. Okay, every other gaming company releases the rules for the game and that they're selling. And this is a really big one, okay? When you buy a box of minis, if the rules don't come in the box of minis, like with Carnival, all right, from TT Combat, you can download the rules to the minis that you just bought for free from their website. So you never have to go, hey, I really like these things. I think they might do good for my army. And then buy them and then have to go out and buy a whole damn codex. Okay? Not to mention, since the rules for all the figures are online for almost every other game out there, you can actually study the armies of the armies that your friends play, so you understand what they do. And all of those things streamline the gaming experience. But not Games Workshop. Nope. Never did they do that until this edition. Before, if you wanted to play Plague Marines and your friends were playing Dark Eldar, you had to pump out $50 for the initial rule, the core rule book, to say, how do you play this game? Then you got to pump out another 30 to 40 for your Plague Marine Codex, and then your friend had to pump out another 30 or 40 for their Drew Carey Codex. And if they didn't want you to read their book to get some sort of understanding of what their army did, you had to go buy your own book on the Drew Carey for yourself. So that's another $30. So we're looking at 4 books, okay, at 50, 30, 30, and 30. So that's $170 just to find out how to play the game that you're trying to play. That is madness. Okay, that is absolutely madness. Okay? However, with this edition, they did something new. Now, what they did on this one was in 9th edition, they started releasing combat patrols. Okay, and combat patrols are essentially starter kits. All right, that's what they are. Let's take a look at some of these things because this stuff can get a little wacky. Okay, hang on real quick on this. I'm just gonna yes, add. I forgot to do this a little earlier. I'm always forgetting something, but that's okay. Yeah, here we are. Let me just put myself on the screen in a place that's kind of decent. So let's check this out, okay? So you got your combat patrols. This is a combat patrol for Death Watch, which is a special team that was put together of Space Marines that have some cool lore and all that stuff. Now I'm not gonna complain about WYSIWYG or anything, but this is $160, and what you get are how many minis? You get 15 minis in this. All right, so it's a little more than $10 per miniature, which is kind of expensive, but let's just put that away. However, this was supposed to be an entire playable team unless you were in a community that doesn't do small games. Okay. And again, Games Workshop never released rules that let you play small games. They never told you what size table you should be on. They never told you the building restrictions, the army composition stuff. So the theory was buy a combat patrol and just play the combat patrol. But, and we'll get into this later, people complain about balance. Well, this army isn't the same as this army. And for a long time, and this is what I got to give to competitive players, they are on the rules to try and make games fair, okay? And that's what they talk about when it comes down to balance. Now, a lot of the language that they use, not a fan of, okay? Because it's not very communicative to new players, all right? But what I will say is Games Workshop tells you buy a box and play against your friends, but with the rules that they had out, it was never fun. And I guess they got people's letters and they changed up a couple of things. So let's take a look. Let's just take a really quick look at what they have. We're on the Warhammer community page, okay? And these guys are saying, Combat Patrol is a fast and fun way to get into a new edition of Warhammer 40,000. It's designed to offer small games with minimal setup, no list building, perfect for getting a game in during your lunch break, or to introduce beginners to the Warhammer hobby. I'm glad they're calling it the Warhammer hobby when they're talking about Warhammer and not the miniature hobby. Anyway, the 6 missions are currently available in the Leviathan core book. If you don't have it, shut up. It's not a big deal. But you can now download them for free. That's awesome. So you can play the missions. Once you've downloaded them, all you need to play is a combat patrol for each player, a 44-inch, so a little less than 4 foot, by 30-inch, a little less than 3 foot, battlefield. That's a pair of gaming boards laid side by side. And a little stack of terrain to give your patrol some cover to fight around in. Okay, every combat patrol has its own rules to ensure they're balanced against each other, trimming out some of, let's see here, own rules, yeah, balanced against each other, trimming out some of the abilities that would be overwhelming in a smaller scale game. They also each come with a unique pair of secondary objectives and enhancement, plus a set of custom stratagems, all on just a couple of pages. The result? Tense, involved, but straightforward games that can be played in less than an hour. There's still plenty of nuance for Warhammer 40k experts to enjoy, I guess. Um, Swapping out enhancements and secondary objectives to mix up their playstyle, and mastering each faction's combat patrol in turn without having to build a full incursion or strike force sized army. The General Combat Patrol rules and 6 combat patrol missions are available in the 40k core rulebook and the Leviathan book. You can now download them for free right here. Okay, and we pulled that up right there. So it is a 12-page PDF. Okay, and that is a pretty awesome thing. Just a 12-page right there. And you can download it for free right there. So, matter of fact, I'm going to just put the link right here in the page. Yeah, look at that. Boom. And don't think I forgot about y'all watching over on the YouTubes. Here we go. Bob. Got Nicholas Hurst saying, so a coffee table. Exactly. It's meant to be played on a coffee table. All right? And that is pretty awesome. All right. Oh, wrong page. So you can download the rules for free. But then those dudes did the next thing, which is a little further down the page. It has the 22 combat patrols. Also, okay, all that's left to download the core rules and your combat patrol of choice. And you've got all the rules you need to play. It's as simple as that. And we're talking all the combat patrols right here. Okay? Somebody in the chat, give me a faction so we can download that right now and we can take a look at it. But it's all right there. Now, I'm going to get to this. Okay? There's a lot of people, a lot of folks that are out there that complain, and these are tournament players, okay, or Warhammer experts, and that complain about box balance or model count or anything like that. And to a good amount of them, I say, okay, look through the cards first, look through the combat patrols, and that's a thing. Now, I listen to a few podcasts. You know, I like the Poorhammer podcast. I really dig Bricky. I'm looking to have coffee with him eventually because he doesn't live too far from where I live. And, you know, I want to talk about some of this stuff because these guys are experts and they're also competitive or tournament players. And I'm not. I'm a casual gamer all the way across the board. I don't play games for cash and prizes. This is my job. That is my hobby. I don't want to turn that hobby into my third job. Okay. My second job is, as you guys know, emptying cargo containers, palletizing them, and sending them to stores across the United States of America. So, let's see here. Just double checking the scrolling. All right. I'm shocked. Nobody's saying, hey, let me take a look at that codex. Let me just double check here, making sure that nobody's saying that. And, okay, thank you, Nicholas Hurst. Craft World Eldar. Okay, we got it. Craft World Eldar right there. So yeah, let's take a look at the Craft World Eldari. Let's just Blood Angels, Chaos Demons, Eldari. Okay, there we go. The Fate Breakers. So let's see. You get the Farseer Inerrant, the Guardian Brothers, the World Riders. Okay. Now, I was a little happy when they brought out the point costs to the models, but since this pretty much says, since it says here, don't worry about point costs, just pick up a box and play it box against box. What do you get? You get some Flying Boys, you get some standard infantry, you get a little Get a little cannon there with a dude next to him. You get your Farseer guy, and you get a freaking Wraith. So that's not bad. Again, for 160 bucks. Or should I say not bad for Games Workshop, because it's still pretty bad. Let's see here. Default secondary objective. Let me just zoom in on this. There we go. Ineffable agenda. At the end of your turn, you score 3 victory points if you control one or more objective markers that are not within your deployment zone and that you didn't control at the start of the turn. Cool. Greater Destiny. At the end of the battle, if you score, or at the end of the battle, you score 10 victory points if one or more units from your army, excluding battle-shocked units, which is essentially, oh man, I'm all messed up. Battle-shocked units are wholly within your opponent's deployment zone. So just with these secondary objectives, you can tell this particular army, especially when you've got these bike dudes in here, the Wind Riders. Okay, it looks a lot like this is made to get in there, get across the board. Let's see. Default attachment is Psychic. Optional attachment is another Psychic. So that's Foresight once per turn. You can target the bearer's unit with the Fire Overwatch stratagem for 0 command points. Oh, that's nice. If the bearer... Overwatch normally costs a singular command point, and it says, you know what, once per turn, do it for free. Why not? Let's see. If the bearer's unit is within range of an objective marker that you control, hits are scored on unmodified hit rolls of 4 while resolving that stratagem. Otherwise, hits are scored on an unmodified roll of 5+ when resolving that stratagem. Wow, that's actually pretty cool, because from what I can tell from all the battle reports I've watched, when you do Overwatch in 40k, you're hitting on 6s, and this one for the Eldar says you hit on 5s, but when you use Foresight, that is an ability of the leader, this unit that the leader is attached to, when they do Overwatch once per turn, they're hitting on 4s. That is pretty awesome. Let's see, each time, and Eldritch Might. Each time the bearer makes a psychic attack, reroll a hit roll of 1, reroll a wound roll of 1, and reroll a damage roll of 1. That is actually pretty cool. That actually, you get 1 reroll of each one. It can all be on the same dude, but it's a thing. Really good with that Wraith engine, I suppose. I don't think about combos and all that stuff. I'm not that kind of player. Well, I am that kind of player, but, this isn't that kind of podcast. Let's see here. Strands of Fate. At the start of the battle, start by rolling 12 6-sided dice. If you wish, you can then re-roll all of them. But if you do, roll 1 less. If you continue re-rolling, okay, so you get to call shenanigans on your rolls. But what do these things do? When you are satisfied with the result rolled, those remaining dice become your fate dice. These results cannot be changed or okay, but what do fate dice do? Before making a dice roll for a model or unit from your army with Strands of Fate ability, if you have 1 or more dice in your fate dice pool, you can use one of those fate dice to do so. Okay, so you roll a bunch of fate dice, and hang on. I always tell people to read the entirety of the rules. Select one of those fate dice to substitute that die roll. The dice that is being substituted is not rolled. Instead, the value of the selected fate dice is used if it had been rolled. This counts as an unmodified dice roll of that value for all rules and purposes. Each fate dice can only be used in this way once. After using a fate dice, remove it from your dice fate pool and roll all remaining dice that are part of the dice roll, if any. You can use fate dice for any of the following types of roll: advance, battle shock, charge, damage, hit, saving throw, or wound. Okay, so essentially it lets you cheat at a dice game. I rolled all these. Nope, I'm using this one instead. All right, that's fair. That's fair. And now the stratagem. Whip fast reactions. When your opponent is shooting phase or the fight phase, just after the enemy unit has selected its target. Target, one Eldari infantry or mounted unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking units. Effect. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Okay, so, it's reduced their chance to hit. Storm of shots. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in one of these units makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. All right. And let's see. Effect. Zephyr Swift. Each of those units can make one normal move up to 6 inches. Restrictions until the end of the turn. Those units are not eligible to declare a charge. So, not bad stratagems, okay? Let's see here. And these guys, you get your standard, okay, your Farseer guy, storm, pistol, thing, melee weapon, spear, all right, good. He can move 7 inches. His defense is essentially 3. His saving throw is 6 up. Ooh. W, I'm not quite sure what W is. His leadership is 6. His objective control is 1. And, wounds. He's got 4 hit points. Okay. His objective control is 1, and he has a 4-up invulnerable save. Nice. And again, in your command phase, you can roll 1d6 on a 2-up. Select one friendly Eldari unit within 12 inches of this Psyker. The Psyker unit, the start of your next command phase. Hang on. Select one friendly Eldari unit within 12 inches of this Psyker. Until the start of your next command phase, each time an attack targets that unit, subtract 1 to wound. Okay, so it lets somebody like move a little more. It lets someone dodge. Okay? And the Wind Raider. Movement of 14 inches. Yeah! Scatter laser, shrunken things. All right. And Swift Demise. Each time this model in a unit makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible target, re-roll it to hit roll. Okay. And of course, a Wraith Lord. Let's see. Toughness 11, so he's, it's going to be hard to wound him. Bright Lance, a range of 36 inches, 1 die attack, 4 ups to hit, and the damage is d6 plus 2. And the Shuriken Catapult, which has assault, which is kind of neat. All right, and that's pretty good. And it's got the Ghost Glaive, which is a regular strike, 4 attack, hits on a 4-up. Strength is 10, armor piercing of 3, damage of d6 plus 1. That is all pretty cool. And this is it. This is this the whole thing? Yeah, this is it. That's it. This is the whole freaking thing. You got your defenders and what their loadout is. And literally, you just print up, honestly, with the combat patrol, you just print out these, let's see, from page. So print out 4 pages, and you're good. That's the whole thing. Those 4 pages. That's all. Print 4 pages, you're done. All right? You print 4 pages, you got all the rules, and the rule book is already free, which is the other window that I opened up. And that window is 12 pages. All right? And some of it's fluff, so and some of it's art and things like that. So this is all good. Here are the missions packs, here are the how to hit, the missions that you use. It gives you everything that you need to play. So this is me literally being surprised. Seriously surprised. All right? Because honestly, this is a good way to start. Now, a lot of veteran players don't like it in the sense of, well, they're asking for my money. And I'm like, dude, let me stop you right there. This is for beginners, okay? Absolute beginners like me. Or actually, people that have even less experience than I do in mini wargaming, okay? Thanks to one-page rules and my 3D printer farm, I have a menagerie of tabletop miniatures, okay? But that means I can try Combat Patrol for 10th edition. Excuse me. Yeah, I can play Combat Patrol for 10th edition, and with that, I can use the models I already have since I print so many proxies for Warhammer 40K anyway. And I have so much stuff for one page rules as Grimdark Future. All right. And if I want to get, say, one of my little cousins in, or one of the people from my neighborhood who've never done this stuff, then I can take my minis that I already have, veteran players who are looking to teach people. I can put together the stuff that's in the Combat Patrol. Let's take a look again at this Eldari force that comes in the Combat Patrol, and ask the question, seriously ask the question, how many Eldari players already have this stuff? Let's take a look. Farseer Irineth, or a leader. Okay, you got a dude that looks like an elven wizard? Boom, there you go. Guardian Defender, 11 models that are 10 models of standard Eldari infantry. You think you got those? You never know. The little tank guy, the heavy weapons platform. If you play Crafts World, you already have all this. Wind Riders, 6 of the dudes on motorcycles or on hover cycles. 6 of these guys. And of course, a Wraithseer, a Wraith Lord. That's it. A Wraith Lord. Boom. That's what you need. If you already play and you have, if you already play Crafts World Eldaris, you probably have these minis already. Okay? So if you're new and you want to get your kids into Warhammer, or, you know, all that stuff, you can literally just put together that stuff, download the cards, and play the game. That's it. Just play. You play it on a board that's a little less than 4 foot by 3 foot, or a coffee table. Now, we got Nicholas Hurst saying, I do have worries about some of the boxes being too off balance, but that's mainly only a problem if you happen to pick up one of the really good ones and one of the least good ones. You know, there are YouTubers out there that have been going through all of the indexes that they've released. And since I've got to do more stuff on YouTube, I think I'm going to go through the Combat Patrols. I think I'm going to make videos of each of the Combat Patrols that they've released in the same way that we do this. I don't know what's good or what combos are out there, but what I can say is I have friends who do. But the fact that page 1 says everything that's in there, one of the things I've noticed about miniatures gaming, and this goes for card games too, it's not just the toy, it's all the special rules. That's the stuff that gives them flavor. That's their spice, you know? And I don't know if these things are balanced. Now, I know from a value for money cost, if you are into making miniatures for the sake of making miniatures and you don't play these games, these are not for you, okay? They come with the most basic stuff, and very few of them come with a unique model, all right? So if you just like painting miniatures, go for the regular route or look up so many other miniatures that you can paint. However, if you want to just play the game, not make art, not paint your minis to some sort of award-winning standard, and if you are like me in the sense of you want something a little bigger than a skirmish game, but smaller than playing all day, this hits that sweet spot for Warhammer 40K. And I am surprised. I am surprised and I am pleased that Games Workshop finally, accidentally picked up a mission plan from a CEO or from some vice president that they fired and accidentally made these things. That's what I'm convinced. That's my story. That's my headcanon. I'm sticking to it because doing something for new players and casual players is not their MO. Okay? What I can see with the Combat Patrol is this is not for veteran players. This is not for competitive players. This is for that person who used to love playing Warhammer back in the day, but moved away from their friends that they play with and they want to get their new friends into it. And they go, you know what? You got $150 to blow on some toys? If not, you can sell them on eBay for another 90. So really, I'm asking, do you have 70 or 80 bucks to have some fun for the next week? You know, are you willing to not buy a video game? And honestly, for players like me that play loads of tabletop miniatures games but never played Warhammer 40k, now I can learn Warhammer 40k. Now, Xanathate says something interesting, which is, I maintain that Warhammer 40k is a mini-agnostic game. The rules do not, or at least they didn't before this edition. I don't know about 10th, specifically the model to be used for any given unit in the rules. I'm not sure what most of that means, but real talk, since I am from the hood, every game we play is a minis agnostic game. And I think I'm going to release a video on how to make every game miniature agnostic and some of the rules of courtesy for using for doing mini agnostic and using proxies, okay? But when I say that it's not a miniature agnostic game, I mean the communities that most people have access to stick inside the Games Workshop fishbowl, okay? Now, I'm not going to complain about the way you have to play at Games Workshop at a Games Workshop store, okay? That's like complaining about about stuff, about being banned from Twitter, okay? Twitter can do whatever they want. They can ban whoever they want because it is not a government-made thing. It is a company that says, hey, talk to your friends through me. And if they say, I don't want you talking to your friends through me, they can do that. Same with Facebook and same with Games Workshop. So if you want to go into their store, use their tables to play their game and use their electricity and take up space in their store that could go to a paying customer to play their game with someone else's miniatures, yeah, no, I understand that. That's literally like going to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant with a doggy bag from Denny's. Okay, that's just rude. I'm fine with them on that. However, when they push to apply the rules for inside their game store to every other game store that supports that particular product, that's where things get sticky with me. And that's what Games Workshop and their players, specifically in Southern California where I live, have been doing for decades. A friend of mine once told me that he used to play with nickels and dimes and pennies. And I'm like, who are you playing with? Because I don't know anybody that'll let me play any games with a handful of change. Okay, they use the same excuses like it ruins my immersion in a game of imagination, or that it doesn't feel right. It's not the same. It's blah, 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 blah. I have another friend who argues for, who has a good argument for the what you see is what you get when it comes to modeling. But, you know, he and I have come to a compromise where I don't do WYSIWYG. That's not my thing. I don't like the whole WYSIWYG model because, again, Games Workshop created that culture. And then they never sold weapons, or they started selling weapons packs individually, then they stopped. So in order to get the loadout that you want for your list, you have to buy 4 or 5 boxes of miniatures. And it's like, can I just buy the gun, you know, or the sword or whatever? So I don't really dig that. And again, that plus the fact that a lot of stores don't let you play with proxies in their store. You see how all these things add up to just plain fascism, or gaming fascism as it is. But all that stuff pushed aside, they have created a product and rules to a format for people like me who just want to play a game. That's it. That is all. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked and I'm pleased. And I wish that Games Workshop had done this 10 or 11 years ago. Because, way back 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago, these combat patrols would have costed, even at Games Workshop Goblin pricing, about $60 to $80. Okay, given that Privateer was selling their starter kits at $50 and Mantic was selling theirs for about the same prices that they're selling stuff for now. So account for inflation, it would have been less than $100. And if they had been able to download the rules for free online, then yeah, they would have a much larger and I believe a much more chill community or groups of folks that play that game. Because this thing gives a space for casual players who don't want to play tournaments, who don't think in competitive circles, okay? I.e., we don't think about the meta, we don't think about the maximum loadout. Sometimes you just want to get your minis, put them down, and play. And again, we talked about the 3 different types of gamers that there are. The Combat Patrol format is not a game for spikes. They're a game for Tims and Johns. And the fact that Games Workshop finally put a chair at the table for we Timmies and we Johnnies, I gotta give them their flowers on this one. And again, y'all know I am not a fan. In fact, I really did today's podcast to praise Games Workshop, and I still have been talking crap on them, although talking crap is just saying what they do, what they made. But yeah, so seriously speaking, this is really, really, really impressive. I gotta give them their flowers. Combat Patrol is not just a good start. This is a really cool thing for them to have done, so if you're a veteran player and you want to teach your wife, your girlfriend, your kid that just turned 14 and might just want to get into this, let's face it, if you're a veteran, you've got more than one army. Download the Combat Patrol rules for 2 armies, okay? And put together the Combat Patrol boxes out of the models that you have. And if the person that you're playing with really likes it, tell them to buy their own Combat Patrol. I mean, seriously, it's good. It's a really good way to start. This is how a company should be spreading the messages of their games. Okay? Real talk. Because, all right, I'm gonna just put this out there. For decades, Games Workshop has been the only game in town, really. They've had the market cornered, and they created a way to play with miniatures that really wasn't Dungeons and Dragons. It was one of the first ones to go into sci-fi, although it went grimdark instead of speculative. And they created a decent, or they popularized a very cool hobby. Okay, they did that. They really, really did that. But what happened around 5th edition was they pushed everybody else out of the market. But since the 21st century has happened, there have been a lot more companies, a lot new upstarts, a lot of younger gamers, programmers, 3D sculptors, and the rise of the consumer market 3D printers that are out there, and the myriad of free files that you can download that are inspired by but legally distinct from Games Workshop models, or other companies that make stuff that's nothing like Warhammer 40K. And we're talking like Carnivale. Carnivale, which is a lot like Assassin's Creed in 1790s Italy. We're talking Infinity from Corvus Bell, Malifaux, Marvel Crisis Protocol, all the Star Wars games. And when those companies started saying, look, we're not Games Workshop, so you might need a free sample in order to invest in us. So here you go. And they never changed that model away to say, look, try out our stuff, check it out. What we're doing is we're trying to make a fun game for people to play. And then One Page Rules came along and took that to the next level. Games Workshop had to catch up. They had to catch up because there's so many good games out there that are saying, we are here for you to play. Okay? Come and play our games. Play our games. Have fun. Have fun with your friends. Make some new friends who also like having fun. In opposed to the hyper-competitive sportsman-like culture that 40K and to some level, but not as much, Age of Sigmar put up. And look, I keep saying I'm from the hood. I've always put it this way. Okay, not always. I used to say, like, using your tournament mindset and playing the meta against a new player is like asking a white belt to spar against Chuck Norris or Bruce Lee. And I still feel with that. But I live in one of the capitals of pickup basketball. If you just want to go down to the basketball court and play a game on a Saturday morning, just go down there and play a game. All right, good, bad, yeah, there's going to be crap talking, all that jazz. But here is the thing, okay, and this is a really big thing. Not everybody playing a pickup game on Saturday morning is trying to be the next Kobe or the next Jordan or the next LeBron. Those dudes are actually inside the empty gym working on their jump shots. They're doing their drills and their pick and rolls and they're working on their footwork and all that stuff. But the people that are just over there playing just play because they like playing basketball. And the people that play miniatures games or Magic the Gathering tend to get overlooked as soon as there is a competition field, as soon as there are tournaments with prize support and all that stuff. That's when people start treating it like a professional hobby. I get it. But for we casual folks, it's really nice to see that the biggest dog on the block, being Games Workshop, is finally letting us know that they see us and they're not trying to make us get in line with other tournament players. So you know what? I'm going to give them their flowers, all right? This Combat Patrol thing is a great idea. It is a really good way to start. And again, it is an entry-level price that honestly I think is decent. I mean, $160 is a lot, and you might get a lot of minis, you might not, depending on what faction you play. But board games cost about $100. There are a plethora of miniatures games out there that are a lot cheaper. We're talking the Warpath universe from Mantic Games that includes Warpath, Dead Zone, and Firefight. We're talking Atomic 47, Bolt Action, again, Malifaux, Infinity. War Machine is still out there and it still has a pretty good following. I will be able to say the stuff from Night Models Games when they get their crap together. Of course, there's a new Star Wars game. I believe it's Star Wars something, but then there's also Star Wars Legion. So there's a lot of different games and a lot of different flavors. And notice I've only talked about the sci-fi and superhero stuff. There's still a butt ton of fantasy stuff out there, like Kings of War, Ravage, the stuff from Ravage Star Games, which is the guy from Mini Wargaming. He created a Mini War Games, and those models look amazing. And that has a 2-player starter kit that's about the same. We're talking Idols of Torment from Black Magic Craft. There's just so many games out there, and do not go on Kickstarter and look at what's coming out. So there's so much competition out there, and Games Workshop sees that, And they said, okay, look, you casual players that just want to play, baby, I'm sorry. Let me take you out to the Red Lobster. Let me get you some of them cheddar biscuits. Come on back. I know. I've just been paying so much attention to all the people that play tournaments, but I gotta move those units, baby. I gotta move those units. But look, I made some for you. Look, I made some for you. It's only $160, and it's all you'll need. And you know what? Here, take the rules for free. I'm sorry. I did take the rules for free, girl. That's what they're doing. And yeah, now I'm not that kind of person that goes, all right, that's a good start. What else you got for me? No, I'm not going to do that. Not going to lie. If I had the $160, I would probably pick up the Grey Knight box set because I really like the baby carrier model. I'm not joking. I think it looks cool. All my friends that play this stuff are like, dude, it looks silly. I'm like, it looks silly to you, but not to me. I really do enjoy the way that looks because it very much reminds me of this idea of like, hey, buddy, you like Space Marines? Well, how about a Space Marine inside a Space Marine? Huh? You like that? You like having a Space Marine in a Space Marine? I think it's cool. I think it's very much like not quite the exosuit from Aliens because the Invictus Walker is a lot closer to that. But yeah, I just think it's neat. I really do. Not to mention it looks pretty easy to paint since it's mostly bolt gun. Or sorry, lead belcher now. It's gunmetal, so it's mostly gunmetal if you're going to do the box art, and you can, so there you go. I honestly do think that that's fun. And if I had the money, I would probably pick them up. But, one day I'll find an STL of something close. Until then, I can do without it. I can probably kit bash something, but I don't want to. Either way, guys, I want to say thank you. Thank you guys for showing up because this has been fun. And again, this is also me proving to you guys that I don't just hate the popular stuff. All right. There's a lot of stuff I like. A lot of it's not mainstream, but when the mainstream guys do something that I find fair, okay, I will give them their flowers. And in truth, the Combat Patrol system with the smaller gameplay board, the buy your army in a box, the here are the rules for the armies in a box, now just play the game and be happy. In opposed to play the game, now buy more, now buy 3 of these starter boxes so that you can play with the other people at the game store. That's what you're going to have to do, man. That's what you're going to have to do because nobody wants to play with you. Nobody wants to play all these really tiny games. You're not a baby. Come on, be a man and play 2,000 points like the real men do. No, forget all that. They literally said, take this and play the game and have fun. And isn't that what this stuff is supposed to be about? So thank you guys for being there. Super thanks to Nicholas Hirsch coming at us literally from South Africa, our international gamer. And if you guys are interested in other stuff like this, if you like what we had to do, and all that jazz, well, thank you. Thank you for being here. And with the being here, if you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, feel free to open up your email and type in backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDACK @gmail.com. You can also reach out to me over on Twitter and Instagram, also under Back in the Deck. And if you're on TikTok, come on, reach out at BidP. All right, that's BIDPY. And you can also join Deckers on the Book, which is our Facebook group. This has been really, really fun talking with you guys. Let me know what you think. Neon, if you can drop the Discord invitation right back into the thing, I would really appreciate it. You guys can hit us up on the Discord, talk about some of this stuff. I really want to get the conversation going on these combat patrols, and I know a lot of you guys have actually been players, so let me know what I need to know, what your thoughts are, and all of that jazz. I want to have the conversation because honestly, if I am going to build more of a following, I've got to cover more Warhammer 40k stuff, and I don't really know what I'm talking about because I don't play the game. And I don't mind coming in as the newer player. That's cool. I just want to know what you guys think. But with that, I got to say thank you guys for showing up. And if anybody tells you that you can't like the games you like or play the games you want to play because of the circumstances of your birth, be it race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disabilities, or your budget, because we all know that the trailer park is not too far from the hood, you can just tell them to take those cards and put them back in the deck. I want you guys to have a really good weekend. If you're in the continental United States, yeah, 4th of July is next week, which means I'll probably be doing some fire spinning and fire breathing for the neighbors' kids this year. And I'll probably do a quick YouTube video of that just so that you guys can see, like, oh my god, he really does like kids and stuff like that. But with that, I'm Solar Grey, the Cinematic Sorcerer, and have a good weekend, everybody. And we will see you next time on the dark side of the room.